Welcome to another Celebrate Arkansas podcast. I'm Jocelyn Murphy, the managing editor, and I'm being joined today by Deputy Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation, Bryan Warner. Thank you so much for joining us, Bryan.
Jocelyn, thank you for having us. It's an honor. Thank you.
It's an honor for us, truly, because we're chatting with you during National Native American Heritage Month. And I was telling you before we started, we actually just spoke a few days ago with a curator from the Museum of Native American History here in Bentonville. And so it's thematically a really great time to have a conversation with you, but also just to learn more about the important work that your not organization, but your office is doing, and just learn more about the Cherokee Nation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So to get started a little bit, can you maybe give me a little bit of background information, information about your responsibilities as deputy chief? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Well, the office of deputy chief, we all swore an oath as elected officials to preserve, protect, promote the culture, the heritage, the history of the Cherokee Nation, uphold the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation, as well as the United States Constitution. And it's something that's very important to us. My role and job is very much, a lot of people ask, well, what does the deputy do and different things. I mean, that could be a myriad of things. They get the opportunity to kind of tailor what they're going to do within the office of deputy chief. But, we're always on standby and ready. It's the same kind of principle as the vice president to the president of the United States. We are both, though we are elected separate, so they're separate held offices. But I stand in the balance, advise chief. We're on, we have a lot of executive directors, departmental things. I take a lot of citizen calls. We handle, just a myriad of different issues each and every day, whether we're going to do interviews, whether we're going to meet for meetings for an initiative, for a program. So you just never know what the deputy chief is going to be doing day to day. Besides the family network that I have at home, I got 3 boys, my wife Mako and I. So one of them out of the house, but the other 2 are in the house, the 8th grader and a 3rd grader. So first and foremost, when the deputy chief's feet hit the floor, we got to make sure we got breakfast. Got to make sure that my wife is taken care of, and she kind of sets the tone. So I'm the keeper of the tone, and then we got to get those boys to school. Their schedules are crazier than mine, even. So it's the full time gig. I don't do it alone. I've got great assistants. I've got great departments around us. So when you're looking at over 5,000 employees on the government side, I mean we really are a well-oiled machine here at the Cherokee Nation.
Yeah. I love what you said about she sets the tone and you're the keeper of the
Well,
tone. That's
you
funny.
bet. Well, I mean, and that goes back to we are a matrilineal society, and the matriarch hold a high position within the tribe, and always has since the time immemorial. And we have a clan system, and so put that into perspective. Let's say that I was Wolf Clan and my wife was Deer Clan. Well, if we chose to marry one another, I would end up leaving my clan and I would join hers. Just that, and so my kids, if they married somebody else, say from the Wild Potato Clan, they would join that clan. So you're following that matrilineal lineage down
Mm.
through time, and so that's kind of how we hold it. But our ladies are beloved. We make sure that their leadership is intact and what they intend to do for the tribe and for all of us as a whole.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, and a little bit about the personal side as well,
You bet.
you and your 3 boys.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about Cherokee Nation. What is, I guess, for lack of a better way to phrase it, the state of Cherokee Nation right now? What do you want our readers to know about your work with Cherokee Nation and just about the nation in general?
No, the state of the Cherokee Nation is strong. Chief Hoskin and his administration have done so many things. The time was really right. We come out of the Baker administration, and there was a lot of momentum within capital projects. But at those things, they take money. And so in 2019, we get elected in. Chief Baker had just come off the hills of basically taking a special dividend from our business side and revamping a lot of our medical clinics. We had a joint venture with IHS, Indian Health Services, that provided us the opportunity to build a 469,000 square foot clinic here in Tahlequah, the capital city.
Wow.
So that's a big part of our healthcare system, if you will. So we have the old Hastings Hospital, which was once an IHS ran facility. We've taken that facility over in the early 2000s, and now we've ran that for some time. We are building currently right beside that outpatient health clinic, CDOC. We're building a new Hastings hospital. It's over $400 million budget on this hospital, about 7 different floors, specialty
Wow.
programs within that healthcare campus. You will, if you drove in, you would see a big sign that said OSU. That is the Oklahoma State University School of Osteopathic Medicine in the Cherokee Nation, first of its kind.
Wow.
Basically, what we're trying to do is raise our own doctors. Not all Cherokees. It's not a Cherokee specific school, so the cohort would be 50 to 54 students in there, non-native, other native Cherokee. We obviously want to usher in more Cherokees because that gives us that idea of Cherokees healing Cherokees.
Mm.
But the big piece, I think, for me, coming out of education, that I spent 10 years teaching chemistry and biology and microbiology, residency program, because education never stopped with these residency programs. So as we're building this new hospital, as we're thinking about our health clinic, we need more residencies because you can kind of do that statistical analysis of that, and they'll tell you that typically 80% or so of the residents stay within 100 miles of where they did their residency program. So that
Mm.
means that we are keeping those individuals within the Cherokee Nation reservation. So that's very, very important for us. That's just healthcare. That we have 9 other clinics situated. So basically, the approach at that was, hey, we don't want anybody more than a 30 to 45-minute drive to get good healthcare, state of the art.
Mm.
A little community called Salina, Oklahoma, that many may
Mhm.
not have heard of. We're building an $85 million clinic there. So we're rebuilding the old clinic. That was one that just wasn't quite, that didn't get touched in that first special dividend. So we want to make sure that we do that. Uh, we are open to all kinds of partnership as you look across whatever we do, whether it's in education, whether it's in career development, economic development opportunities, obviously, healthcare. We have CNB, our Cherokee Nation business arm. They are separated statutory from our government side, but yet we all work hand in hand. So 36% legislatively is deemed that dividend to come over off that revenue every year to the government side. So that affords scholarships. This year alone, we scholarship somewhere around 7,000 scholarship recipients. That's
Wow.
$2,500 a semester. So you can start doing that math. It gets really high. That's what we want to invest in. We invest in career tech opportunity for those individuals that may not want to seek higher education. So it's very important that we maintain the momentum of what we had. Currently, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, then we had the COVID dollars come in. Then we had the American Rescue Plan dollars come in. Cherokee
Mm.
Nation was very blessed, beneficiary of a good portion of money that really has changed, it's changed so much of the landscape here in the Cherokee. We've grown like 20 to 23% since 2019, and that's in employees. We're looking at 60 plus capital projects right now. Some of them might have been completed. Some of them we're still cutting the ribbons on. Some of them we're still doing groundbreakings on. This week, early childhood education is important to us. We broke ground on it. We cut the ribbon and we're opening up a early childhood unit in Nowata,
Wow.
$7.4 million investment. And the thing that gets me, that I think really gets everybody, is in Indian country, many people, you think about our infants, and people have this picture in their mind that's been painted for so long, and a lot of it's misrepresentation and so
Sure.
much. But one thing that really makes you think hard about where we come from and where we're at today is when you walk into that 0 to 3+ classroom, those kids, that floor in there, it's heated. I never thought I would see a day in Indian country where our little native babies would be crawling around on a heated floor. And that just tells me that we're honoring our ancestors. We're making sure that we listen to our elders. We're making
Mm,
sure that we take care of the most innocent, our children, and all of those individuals in between. Chief Hodgson will tell you, photography is our number one thing that we need to protect, and that's protecting our women, murdered and missing Indigenous women and people. We make sure that our federal government is upholding their treaty obligations to the tribe because we uphold our standards to them. We want to
mhm,
make sure that they do. And quite frankly, as Chief will say, they're behind on a whole lot. But we can't wait around. The Cherokee Nation, that's why our business's portfolio has been successful. It's went from gaming revenue being 80% and other being 20 to now we're almost even and even moving the ladder when we talk about the
wow.
diversified portfolio, the other side of the non-gaming industry that puts money back into what we're doing. So
Mm,
a good time in the Cherokee Nation, but you know, with that level of responsibility, it can get really weighty.
sure.
But I will tell you this, Chief would say the same thing. We've got the best and the brightest that work within the Cherokee Nation, and not any one individual is more important than the other. The table is all kind of round at all level, and it doesn't matter where you work in the Cherokee Nation. We value your opinion. We go into our communities and seek how they want to uh, move and expand within their community. We don't tell them, "Hey, this is what we think you should do." We go to them and say, "We've got this opportunity. What do you guys want to see?" So those are
Mm.
some of the things that we've been doing, and I know we can get more specific as we continue this conversation.
A lot of important work going on though. A lot of different arenas and a lot of different people being impacted by all of these projects. So yeah, a lot of responsibility there for sure. But one of the things that you talked about uh, when we were talking about when you were talking about the healthcare side and those residency programs, you mentioned, part of the thing is bringing people here to train them, or here to Cherokee Nation, bringing people there to train them, but then keeping those skills there is something that I talk to a lot of people in a lot of different industries about. I'm on the Arkansas side of the border, so it's about the Arkansas economy. But I talk to artists, filmmakers, small business owners, whatever the industry is. It's that same idea of we need to build better infrastructure here that exists here so that people want to come here and keep their skills here. I know it's that retention is always uh, not an issue, but a an opportunity for growth maybe. And so I guess just in talking about, you talked about how that impacts that healthcare side that we were discussing, knowing that this is a mm, common, again, I don't want to use the word issue. It's a common phenomenon where people want to build infrastructure in whatever the industry is to keep the talent there. How are the needs of the Cherokee Nation unique to the tribe in these projects and these like initiatives that you're trying to build?
Oh, we really, I mean, I think the one unique thing for us is everything that we do, we build off of our founding principles, our community values, if you will. They were passed down at this time immemorial. And the one word that you'll hear a lot in the Cherokee Nation is Gadugi, which means working together for the common good or the greater good. That's kind of what we embody everything that we do because we collaborate with native partners a lot, but we also collaborate with non-native partners to make sure that because our community values, they're not Cherokee specific. That's what I want
Mhm,
everybody to understand. They're about loving everyone as we would love ourselves. There's one in particular, Deja Dog SD, which means to hold one another's existence stingy as a mother is with the child. And I think that's
mhm,
what our unique quality is, and I think that's what really draws individuals to the Cherokee Nation. That's why we do what we do, because we believe that we were put here to be that rising tide that raises all ships. We are a quiet but strong nation. Individuals within our tribe, we know words matter. So what you say really matters. So a lot of times people say, "Well, the Cherokees are kind of quiet." That's because they want to say the right thing at the right
mhm.
time that has the right reason behind it. Otherwise, they won't say anything at all, and that I think that helps to build that trust in what we're doing, and when we look at this now, I want you to understand that you're across the state line, but there's about 20,000 Cherokees in the state of Arkansas, so it's one of our bigger
Mhm.
states where we're represented, and really up on this side because what we've done when we talk about those scholarship dollars, these are dollars for individuals that are on the reservation. That's 7,000 square miles, 14 counties up in northeast Oklahoma, but parts of some others. But we
Mhm.
also offer that same opportunity for individuals that live in contiguous counties that touch the Cherokee Nation. That if you're outside of that area, if you're just on the other side, let's say you live up in Missouri or you live over in Jonesboro, but if that Cherokee kid, male or female, is Pell eligible, then they can also get that undergraduate scholarship. And I think that really that kind of connects people in with their tribe. They start to want to learn more about it. If you come to
Mhm.
our tribal facilities, they are very much museum quality. I mean, the equipment in there is state of the art in the healthcare system. Our specialists and the things that we do, second to none. But when you look at the walls, you'll see a ton of art, native artwork made by Cherokees, made by our Cherokee National Treasures. We actually have a set aside specifically on each capital project that a certain percentage of that project had to go to art that goes in these buildings. So that
Mhm.
this starts to tell the story of the area, of the individuals that live there, specific needs. You were talking about what we are you familiar with the HAMRC? It's the Heartland, Medical Manufacturing Regional Cluster, and
Okay, I'm
basically
not.
yes, so this is basically for high quality healthcare jobs in manufacturing, and we've kind of got a consortium group that works together here in Northeast Oklahoma, over in Northwest Arkansas to make sure that we can try to bring these manufacturing jobs here because we feel like we have that healthcare corridor going through there. And no matter in that corridor, it stretches all the way. Not long ago, I was visiting with Mercy officials from the River Valley in Northwest Arkansas area. And we were up in St. Louis checking out their cancer treatment centers because we have partnered with them and to develop a cancer treatment center in Fort Smith. Also, I know they're looking at Northwest Arkansas, some other things that they want to continue to do there. So we've added $8 million in that partnership to their foundation. Of course, they've got more money to raise and different things, but I know the state has been very generous as well. So we look to those partners, but we got this healthcare highway. Mercy has
Mhm.
partnerships with the Mayo Clinic and early detection methods and things like this. And I get a lot of different calls from citizens, whether they need help with human services or, hey, Brian, I have a family member. They've just been diagnosed with cancer. We need to get in to see an oncologist. So we're working hand in hand. Not only is it a monetary gift of that money amount, but Mercy on the other side had come back and said, here's some things that we want to do. And those things are really directly directed towards the patient care and patient experience. And that's what we value as partners that understand who Cherokees are and understand that we're here to also help them, but they're also here to help serve us. And matter of fact, some of those individuals on that Mercy team are Cherokee. They were raised over here, and very gratifying experience to be able to work within this space, even though it for a very short time. But it's such an honor.
Yeah, that sounds really. I don't want to minimize it by saying it sounds incredible, but it sounds like your administration at least has a lot of incredible works going on, a lot of things building on foundations that were already in place, but it does seem like a very there's a lot of momentum right now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and you're looking at 60 to 70 capital projects, that's like $700 million worth of
Yeah.
projects, and I mean, that the construction team alone, I mean, Lord knows they're gonna need a break at some point, but, we're when you're doing that, it's an economic boom in this
Mhm.
area because where we're building them, those people are coming in, these native-owned businesses and other businesses that win these bids, and there's all the subcontracting, there's the ability to put money into individuals' pockets that spend money in these towns, these areas. I'll give you an example of a small town community in my area called Marble City. Marble City, probably about 450 on the census will tell you that's who lives in Marble City. Well, if you draw a 15-mile radius and draw that circle around, there's probably about 11 to 12,000 Cherokees just in that 15-mile radius from Marble City.
Wow.
So
Okay.
a whole lot more people say, well, how come they didn't fill out the census? Well, I mean, historical trauma,
Mhm.
misrepresentation from the past. And these stories, believe it or not, get passed down generation after generation. But Marble City, uh, zero tax base, basically. But by us coming in, we went in and we took over an old school. Their school, it was a schoolhouse that had been used for a food pantry, clothing pantry for some time. Kind of a somewhat of a historical building. It was actually the first school named Sequoia in this area.
Mm.
But they moved their school outside of city limits there. We took that over. Well, had a lot of talks about tearing that school down and rebuilding. We have rebuilt now. We invested $10 million there. That was also for water infrastructure. They built a gymnasium. They have a stage on that gymnasium. You've got an outside area for events outside, back of house, food pantry, clothing pantry. Looks like a store. They've got food pickups going on. But during that time, all of that use tax and everything went up almost 1,500%. So they were able to take that money because all those deliveries were made there. And so they
Yeah.
were able to add that to their tax base. So they've started beautifying the entire town. And there's places in this world where drug use has really overran certain communities, and Marble City was not immune to that. But we've turned
Mm.
the lights back on in Marble City now, and the kids there are able to come out and play at night. People are there walking up and down the streets again. This place was a hustle and bustle town in the 1840s. I mean, it was the town to be in. We're revitalizing some of these places that the rest of the world's forgotten about, but the Cherokee Nation has not.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. Is that you said, you'll get phone calls about lots of different things, all the way to, "Hey, Brian, my family member has just been diagnosed with cancer. What are our options?" Is that, mm, pretty indicative of the administration or the office itself, or is that kind of indicative of the culture of the Cherokee Nation
I
that
think that,
they literally can call the deputy chief,
yeah,
"Hey, I need some
I,
help."
they and Chief get those phone calls as well. When I was on tribal council, there's the legislative body at the tribal council of the Cherokee Nation. There's 15 districts represented within the reservation, and you have two at-large counselors. So that's a 17 individual body, and then you have the office of chief and office of deputy chief. I think that's pretty common. I mean, we
Mm,
go out and we make connections. We build relationships with communities, with people, with families. And, we have pretty much that open door policy. Sometimes it does get cumbersome at times, but that's really a good feeling when you're connecting with people and we're
mm,
making sure that we're a conduit to connect them with the resources because there's somebody on the other side of me that's going to be meeting the needs that they need, whether it was help with the utility bill, whether it was help with, hey, I'm having a rough time this month and I've got to keep this job and I need some gas money and I work on one of your work programs. We have supportive services built in. We're able as a tribe to go out and get multiple grants that other entities are not able to because they're tribally set aside specific grants. Some of our grants that we've got, whether it be the Department of Justice, Department of Interior, all of these different CDC working with the Center for Disease Control, USDA, all of these. Some of them are non-native specific, or they're not just native specific. So, like a dislocated worker grant, if somebody lost a job because the company shut down, or we've had other grants that somebody lost a job because of substance use disorder, we're able to get them treatment and then plug them back in to get them work experience that they need. Some of those grants, we could help Native Americans, obviously, but we helped a lot of non-natives out there, and
mm,
so that's some of the things that people don't know about, and we want to make sure that we leverage our ability each and every day to bring resources back to Northeast Oklahoma so that we can put our best foot forward. Our at-large Cherokees, just to give you an idea, there's 468,000 Cherokee citizens registered.
mm,
The bulk of them obviously live in Oklahoma, but you're considered an at-large Cherokee if you live outside of the 14 county tribal reservation boundary. And so, we're probably talking about 260, 270,000 Cherokees living within the state of Oklahoma. Probably about 150, 140,000 or so live on the reservation. Then everybody else lives in other states.
Mhm.
California, state of California, around 25,000 Cherokees. We're the largest represented tribe in the state of California, the state of Washington, the state of Oregon. We just left Arizona last week for at-large community meetings. We have 501(c)(3) groups that have sprung up, and we connect them with our culture and community outreach department so that we maintain a connection with them. But we were just in Arizona and Phoenix area and Tucson. There's 7,500 Cherokees in the state of Arizona.
Mm.
So these community groups, they keep us connected. They keep their citizens, because I can go to that group and say, "How many here know where Nycut, Oklahoma is?" And this is a little rural area community, and I'm probably going to get somebody raise their hand and say, "My grandpa was from Nycut," and they start telling stories, and we talk about the people there. They feel that connection, and our at-large Cherokees, they really want to give back. They want to make sure that
Mhm.
they can connect. So Chief had the right side of his mind thinking about how can I do this? And then when he started to tether both sides there together, we come up with the Gadugi Corps, which is very similar to AmeriCorps. It's kind of a volunteer-based group, but we also do some other trainings and stuff. But that's a way to connect individuals from the outside, bring them home, put them on volunteer projects. They may just be working with the sister organization. They may be working with the Cherokee Baptist Association, building something, building ramp, helping out our elders. So it's just a neat way to stay connected.
Wow, yeah. And it really, speaks to that collaborative piece that you were talking about earlier too, about
Yes.
how Cherokee Nation works hand in hand. Sorry, I keep hitting this mic.
Oh, you're fine.
Works hand in hand with a lot of non-native organizations or entities or what have you, for this rising tide lifts all
Yep.
ships kind
That's
of
right.
attitude.
You
Yeah.
bet. You bet.
Yeah, it makes sense. Would you mind talking you mentioned the workforce training, and, I know that's been a big part of I keep using the word administration, is that the correct
Yeah,
way
that's
to
correct.
identify it?
Mhm.
Okay. I know that's been a big piece of your advocacy, and, we've been talking a lot about the healthcare system and healthcare resources, and, uh, we've been talking about a lot of growth, a lot of
Yep.
projects, um, can you come back to that workforce training though, and, maybe illuminate that a little bit more for
You
us?
bet. Well, our career services department really is the one that heads up all of our workforce training opportunities. This department, they've had their hand in so many different areas, and they've built over time. Their executive director, Diane Kelly, she's a 45 plus year employee at the Cherokee Nation, so she has
Wow.
a wealth of knowledge, a lot of historical knowledge about how we ended up getting a Job Corps from our Talking Leaf Job Corps and all these different pieces. That's one aspect where we have some individuals that come in within a certain age. They really need some more education. They maybe not finished high school. They're having some trouble. Talking Leaf Job Corps, we kind of hook them up. They get the education they need. They can get whether it be culinary training or whatever types of things that they have going on at that time. Uh, that is that's the Department of Labor. That's specific to that department in the United States federal government. So they kind of dictate, like, okay, here, if you want to do this, then here's the hoops you got to jump through to get this part. But we can see some specific needs that we have. When you get into, we always take a look at what are the kind of the hot up and coming jobs in the area. Good
Okay.
paying jobs, has insurance, all of these things that people need. And we make sure that we try to plug individuals in. A lot of the upskilling, if you will, on some of the things, we collaborate with a lot of the tech centers in the area and make sure if somebody wants to be a welder, somebody wants to be an HVAC technician, somebody wants to be a plumber, somebody wants to be a phlebotomist, somebody wants to be an LPN to work into a bridge program later at a university. We utilize those partnerships with our career techs, whether it be Indian Capital Technology Center, Northeast Tech. You start naming different ones. We have money for those individuals to go pay for that training, to pay for that tuition, to get
Mm,
that skill set that they need. Now, some individuals may not be ready. We have day work programs where we can put them to work, whether it be here at the tribe or at another entity that partners with us. And like it's day work. They work a day. They get so much per day. We have work experience program. We have a 12-week job training program where we partner with other businesses. They take an individual in over time. That program is expanded out over 12 weeks. They work there. Part of those wages are paid by the tribe through that grant that passes through. So that
mm,
helped out the small businesses that are out there, but we need those individuals that run those small businesses to really be considering hiring these individuals. So some of our programs during the pandemic, we expanded greatly because we had such a good template already. So we just
mm,
pumped more money and we expanded those things out to put individuals out into the community. A lot of that stuff that's coming to a close. So we're kind of paring back down to our normal set of operations, but also some of the things were so successful when we looked on the return on investment and how many individuals got placed at a job, now what they're doing. We want to continue some of those special programs that are out there. I think some really interesting job training programs we have a reentry program. A reentry program is those individuals that have maybe been incarcerated. They have been some justice involved is the new statement that I hear a lot of our reentry folks talk about. If they were justice, that opens up the door so that we can help more people. They don't have to be incarcerated, but they've been justice
okay.
involved. They come back to us. We've got money to help them get within that program some training, some guidance on. Hey, they may just need clothes to wear to a job interview. Then we also go through mock interview. They may want to go back to school. They may want to go to Indian Capital Technology Center. We try to get them set up. We try to set them up with housing, whether it be rental assistance programs that we run through our Cherokee Nation Housing Authority, or whether they are already ready to maybe try to find some transitional housing. Some of those individuals that are justice involved, they may have had to run in with drugs at some point in life. We have taken the stigma out of as much as we can at the tribe,
Mm,
and we work every day to destigmatize things because these individuals they matter. Because if we believe in our community values of holding one another's existence sacred, then they matter, and we help them get past that point of worrying about what people are saying about them. What do they look at? Hey, we're going to go do today. We're going to get you the training. We're going to bring your dignity back, so and
mm,
reconnect maybe with their family, with their kiddos. You know, we have an Indian child welfare group that does so much work within that realm of making sure that our kids are protected while things in the family aren't quite where they need to be.
mm. Wow, it's all interconnected. It's all big work, but it's really important work because, like you said, it's individuals matter, and
Absolutely.
making each person maybe that we interact with feel like that interaction carried dignity with it.
Yeah,
I think is important to me personally, anyway. So
absolutely.
it's all interconnected.
That's right.
I know your administration, again, on the governmental side, but also then on the historical significance side, there's a lot of cultural preservation work being done. But if you don't mind, could you talk a little bit about what that means for you personally and just your family being part of Cherokee Nation, the cultural preservation piece for you in your personal life?
Absolutely. I think when you look at cultural preservation, I think it would always I've seen people go into this at different levels. For us, we didn't start out on genealogy side, but as I went through this and I saw my genealogy, I saw all this history laid out before me. I thought, man, if I would have started there, and then start to retrace, it added something special to it for me to
Mm,
see those some of those old pictures, those faces, even if it was just written name, and so much. And I think it's so important that the Native American story is told correctly. I think that level of understanding, and they say, well, you know, they're in Oklahoma. Well, we didn't choose to be here. We were forcibly removed here.
mhm,
And that piece for me, that's the biggest thing is making sure that people truly, truly understand who we are, why we do what we do, and what we're going to continue to do, not just for our own people, but for everybody around. And we've got a great team here at the tribe and the government side and on the business side. Their leader, Molly Jarvis, she worked for CNB for many years. Travis Owens is another one of those things. They have the connections out there with whether you're talking about in your neck of the woods in Bentonville, um, for whether you come down to the Marshall Museum in the River Valley, whether you look here in the capital city of Salahquad or our National History Museum, or there's just so much history, so much
Mm.
significance that matters. And a lot of these documents, whether it's treaty documents that are housed somewhere else, like I was recently out at the National Museum of American Indian in Washington, D.C., looking at one of our treaty that specifically, and you start to see those names that are on there. And one of our greatest figures is Sequoia, and I actually got to see where he purposely wrote his name in the Cherokee syllabary right there, and that's
Wow.
something that's very moving. Since I where I
Mhm.
lived, I live right now from Sequoia's cabin where it was relocated to. I know when he invented the syllabary, he was close to Lake Dardanelle over by Russellville. So these are some
Okay.
this stuff's very important for people to
Yeah.
understand it, and they start to look at all these names of these towns, these communities, these cities, not just here in Oklahoma, but over in Arkansas, and that's very significant. That holds something very sacred. Our heritage, our history is so important that because I think that's truly some people find themselves at a point in life and just things aren't going well and depression sets in. And I've seen so many natives when they start to identify and really seek back and take a look at their ancestors, I start to see them unwind whatever it was that had them wound up and
Mm.
stuck in a rut. And I had an individual one time tell me his mom's she's a very good artist, and he's struggled with drug addiction his whole life. But one day he said, I sat down with my mom and I thought, I watched her make many a basket, watched clay beads, beaded, all different things. He goes, one day I just sat down, I started weaving a basket. I just started watching her. I didn't talk. He goes, before I knew it, I'd finished. He goes, for that 3 hours that I worked on that basket, he goes, I never thought about drugs one time. He goes, that's one of
Mm.
the first times in my life where I was like totally set free. So that's important to me because so many people battle with those addictions. So, and it doesn't matter if it's drugs, if it's other things, but connecting individuals back to that culture is so vital. That's why we got to make sure that in the movies and in our interviews that people get the real, true, clear story, where we come from, what we did before we got here, but now how we got here, how we overcame so much, how we used our resiliency to build back our government better and stronger each and every day. That's why it is important to me that people understand so that because I'm not going to be here, I want to leave the playbook. I want to leave the
Mm.
woodpile a little higher than I found it so that that next individual can come in and take off and run as fast as they can and with the biggest heart that they've got and make sure that people feel that Cherokee love.
Yeah, wow. That story gave me goosebumps about the basket. Thank you for sharing that. It is again, big work, important work, but also I'm thankful that for your administration and for people like you willing to be out here sharing part of the Cherokee story, and just honored that Celebrate can come alongside you guys and again tell just a small part of that story. If listeners or readers of the magazine pick up this episode, so I would assume primarily non-natives. What would you like them to know about how to celebrate, how to honor the Cherokee Nation? Should we be going to historical sites and paying respect and visiting museums? Should we be doing something else? What would you like people to know?
Oh, I would say, be prayerful about it and kind of let your heart lead the way. And I would say that if they're interested, they can visit our website, CherokeeNation.com, CherokeeNation.org, as J Mac said. Make sure that they visit that site, and then you can start to explore. I mean, if you Google Cherokee Nation, You'll get a lot of things. Your first hit should be our actual government webpage, but also there's Cherokee Nation businesses. There's a lot of opportunities
Mhm.
there. But the capital city of Tahlequah is not far from Western Arkansas. I mean,
Super
we're
close.
no, we're super close. And hey, guess what? We've got special things that we do over there at the
Mhm.
Buffalo National Park. I mean that those individuals has opened that up to our medicine keepers. We signed compacts with them where we can come in and our medicine keepers can take things out of there. I want people to know that right now I say there's a mecca out here. So if you raise up the Cherokee Nation, those 14 counties in northeast Oklahoma, you take northwest Arkansas and the Arkansas River Valley, because we stretch out. That right there in itself is a land of opportunity. Both of those
Mhm.
places, they just kind of rise up out of that map. We don't need to let that state line divide us. We need to utilize
Yeah.
one another, work together, continue. We've worked with the Walton Foundation. I would love to connect someday a bike trail from the Sandtown Bottoms at the Sequoia Wildlife Refuge in Vian, Oklahoma, all the way 151 miles to Bentonville, because we know you guys got great trails. We've worked with some of
Mhm.
those same individuals that built those, built them down here. This is what we want to do. Take a trip, come over to Tahlequah at some point, walk around. Hey, in September, our Cherokee Homecoming, the national holiday, it's always around Labor Day. I know a lot of people do a lot of different things. Come in. We've got so much culture, so much history. We have so much intertribal culture that comes through because individuals come for the intertribal powwow that we host here during the
Mhm.
Cherokee holiday. It's something the majesty and the beauty that you get to see there, and those individuals that they're there to compete, but they're there to fellowship. They're there to show that love. I would tell people to come over and visit, and if they just start to look around, you'll start to notice the Cherokee symbolism, probably in their neck of the woods, a little
Mm.
more pronounced each and every day if they just pay a little more attention, just like we all do to anything that we're interested in. So I
For
say,
sure.
look early, look often, and feel free to email individuals. Feel free to give us a call.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, there's so much to look into, to check out. As I said, the curator that was here with us earlier this week was telling us a little about her own experiences going over to the region, and that she was like, obviously there's so many incredible resources and buildings and things to go and do over there, but it was the people that were so special for me. So that was so special for us that she shared that, and special too for you to share some of your experience with us. And again, we're just so honored. So we really appreciate it,
Well, thank you,
and
Jocelyn.
helping us lift up Cherokee Nation, and under our banner of supporting, or not supporting, but celebrating
Absolutely.
celebrating people. And that's what we like to do and celebrate Arkansas. It's really celebrating people. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you
yeah.
again for having me. It was a wonderful time.
Thank you so much for chatting with me. I know I've held you a little bit over, but I've really enjoyed our talk, and
You bet.
was so appreciative. So thank you again for joining us,
Well,
Bryan.
thank you, Jocelyn.
Deputy. Appreciate it.